You can be sure that most e-mountain bike brands have different ideas when it comes to controls and displays. For many, the control and the display goes hand in hand, whilst for others, such as the Specialized Levo, you have the option. There's also the question about the level of information that you get. For example, the mighty high bike Fly-On to the more minimalist Shimano E7000. But the question we're tackling on today's show is displays. Do they matter? And do you actually use them? Well, for me, I think there's a very easy answer to this question, and that is yes. I'd certainly rather have the option rather than not having it, because let's face it, even a minimalist bike such as the Levo has some very critical information even on that display on the top tube, and that is the on-off switch, the battery level, and also the mode that you're riding in. Now, obviously, you can change what you have on this bike. You can actually get one of these, which you can bolt on for about £80, and then that goes from minimalist to full display mode, where you get such things as the cadence, the rider output, and also the motor output. So that is certainly one option to think about. Now, for many people, it's actually the size of the display that matters, and it's not only Specialized that have compact units. If you look at the Shimano E7000 and E8000, they've got quite dinky little displays on the handlebar there, plus of course a range of switches to operate that. Now, the great thing about a display, do not forget this, is that they provide some very useful information, such as the cadence, which you can see on the Shimano E7000 system. And the great thing about cadence is if you pedal at the right cadence, and it's about 80 to 100 RPM in the case of the Shimano, you actually get the optimum out of your e-bike motor. And then, of course, you can move on to other things. Now, on the Shimano system, you can actually customize the motor output, and you do that via an app. And of course, with an app, you actually need the display to go hand in hand. Although I do think you can actually have a really little display, or actually more of a switch than display, which controls that. So, so many things you can do with a display on your e-mountain bike. Now, for some people, of course, it's not just a question about whether you've got a minimalist approach. It's actually about how much information you can actually get at your e-mountain bike. And it doesn't get much more detailed than the high bike Fly-On. Now, Bosch, they've been masters when it comes to providing you with options of controls and displays. From the super compact Purion or Kiox up to the really detailed Nion system, which might be more suited towards commuters, but still an incredible tool there. And remember, for those of you people who don't think you need a display, bear in mind that even the really compact Purion on Kiox gives you access to the different modes on your bike. And of course, the eMTB mode, that automatic mode, which is actually quite a unique system on e-mountain bikes. So displays, do they matter? Well, from where I'm sat, or should I say stood? No, probably more sat when it comes to riding my e-mountain bike, especially in those technical climbs. They really do matter, and they give you access to all those modes and also your battery level. But one thing I would say, and what I'd like to see on e-mountain bikes, is the displays and controls being a little less vulnerable on some brands, because let's face it, you do get involved in some tumbles from time to time. And also, when you're changing tires on your e-mountain bike, there is a temptation to turn the bike upside down, in which case some displays do get a bit knocked around. But, you know, and I think maybe a company such as Forestal is certainly on the right track when it comes to their top tube mounted display. But Chris, what are your thoughts when it comes to displays and controls?
I think great, but absolutely smashing it when it comes to displays. I mean, you know, got so much information and tech going on there. Things such as the terrain and the range that you can get riding over those big hills, and it allows the descents to come into it when it comes to battery management. You've got sat nav on there, so you're going to get to those riding locations. And of course, all those live view cameras that you can log into anywhere around the world from any device is pretty cool. And you've got all those rewind functions on there. I think, you know, those guys are absolutely smashing it when it comes to displays at the minute. It's crazy. And I think one basic app has got to be the Yamaha, actually. It's pretty basic, but you've got all the stuff on there, such as, you know, your range, your cadence, your miles an hour, things like that. But what I like about it is the simplicity, and you've got all that battery range, which I think is like 10 bars on there, so you can really be precise about how much battery you've got left. Like you've got Shimano, which is like 4 or 5 bars. It's not that precise when it comes to that battery management, but I think the Yamaha unit is safe, it's secure, and it actually has got everything you need on it. I think the main things when it comes to the displays has to be your speed, what you're riding at, because it means whether you're going to stay in that assistance range from the motor or you're working above it. So knowing when that assistance is going to cut in and cut out is quite important. Obviously your battery range, how much battery power you've got left on your bike. I think cadence is pretty good as well as I don't really think you need all this mode and the time and things like that. All those extras is just extra stuff that is, you know, it's a bit more faff and it's going to take your eyes off the trail. I just like them to be pretty well protected, good battery life, and just gives you the bare bones really. That's all you need from a display, surely, isn't it? I definitely think when you're new to e-mountain biking, you do use your display quite a lot. I think one of the most important things to learn is your actual range and your mileage that you're going to get from the battery. And a good way of doing this is looking how much battery percentage you're using. Say, for instance, you're going out on a 20-mile ride. If you've used more than quarter of your battery in 5 miles, then you know you're not going to make it, or it's going to be pretty close. So just getting those sort of things into your head is pretty important, and I think a display is a good way of doing that. But I think if you get more experience, then your need for a display is definitely less. Another thing such as Garmin, I think, is a third-party device or display on your handlebars. They're pretty dialed in, and the amount of information you can get from those things is absolutely crazy. I mean, your actual bike will connect to the Garmin as well, so you can get all those battery stats, but as well as like in-depth navigation. You know, the list is literally endless with a Garmin. So if you want that little bit more information in a package that is going to be crash-proof, waterproof, good battery life, things like that, then the Garmin is something you definitely want to have a look at. And of course that will connect to apps, so you can download all those routes and things like that. So yeah, Garmin is definitely a display worthwhile getting.
Yes, well, controls and displays is a big subject. I think it's time to call in to the Somerset Sweatbox and the man himself, Chris Smith. Chris,
how you doing, Steve?
Are you there?
Yes, hear you loud and clear. Yeah, it's not so sweaty in here today. It's pretty windy today down this way, actually. How about you?
Yeah, great, thanks. Hey, listen, we've been talking about controls and displays. Now, I think there's enough excitement on an e-mountain bike without needing a ton of information. What's your take on it?
I agree. I like to keep it pretty stealth, you know. I think as you get to know your e-bike, you sort of feel the power, and you don't need that heads-up display all the time. I think it distracts you from all the stuff that's going on around you. As you say, there's so much going on that you don't need all that information.
Yeah, but I guess it's what type of riding you do. For some people, maybe who are riding fire roads where there's a bit more time to look at displays. But let's not forget that the displays are an integral part of the controls of some bikes, and the information they provide is just simply a whole world away from a mountain bike, which has got no information. So I think they're great things on the whole.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Definitely, yeah. I think, as you mentioned, some brands have gone for that more stealth look. Some of them have gone for a full-on, you know, pretty much like a inbuilt sat-nav in front of you, but I prefer that stealth look, I think, and just the natural feel.
Interesting. Well, let us know your thoughts on displays and controls. Do they matter? Do you need them? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, let's move on to the news. Chris, there's been some interesting developments from Flims in Switzerland on the world's first fully electric built mountain bike track.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a project with Vela Solutions, which is Claudia Calori, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Can you tell us a bit more information about it? Apparently it's been all charged with renewable energy. There's no combustion engines, no whacker plate, no petrol whacker plates or diesel dumpers and stuff like that, right?
No fossil fuel. I think he's even gone as far as photographers aren't allowed in cars, you know, combustion cars, to get to the trails to photo it. They either go up by e-bike or by electric vehicle, which is pretty cool. And I think it all started basically when they scoped the mountain out. They saw that there was loads of electrical sockets basically all the way along from when they did the snow season there, that they thought, oh well, we could build this whole trail purely from electric power alone. I think, you know, what they've done with that is pretty interesting, and it looks like an amazing trail to ride as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I did actually see Claudio Calori had an e-bike recently. I was wondering what he was up to.
Yeah,
yes,
well, there you go.
Electric sockets. They'll be bringing them to the quarries of Somerset soon, won't
Hopefully, yeah. Free ride with a plug-in, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Crank Brothers, 100% collab goggles. What does that mean?
Yeah, I saw that. So yeah, 100% and Crank Brothers have joined collaborations, and they brought out this awesome looking goggle. I think pretty amazing stuff there, isn't it? Look at that, how smart that looks.
Yeah. Now, in terms of who's been at it this week, I've seen
everyone.
Steve Pete's been at it on his new Santa Cruz Heckler. I've actually had a chat with Steve about it, and he's pretty into it, that's for sure. Meanwhile, down in Wales, Cade Edwards can't seem to put his Trek rail down at the moment.
I saw Tani out with him as well. Did you see that out on a little group ride on their story? So Tani was on a canyon. I think it looked like a neuron on to me.
Wow. Was she on an e-bike?
With Cade on the e-bikes, smoking some roadies, going up a hill climb.
Danny McCaskill has been going bigger and bigger each time we see him on his e-bike, really getting into motor trials at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got that whole motor trials kind of style, sort of move, you know, that big up onto that rock and that 360 off. I think that looks something like Tony Bow would be up to, you know. But good to see Danny on it and pushing it, you know, heavy. It's good.
But it's not all about the pros, and I've just had an email in from Vicky Titley, whose son Jeremy, who's only 12, and he's certainly taken it to the next level on his Specialized Turbo Levo 2020. Whoa. It's great to see younger riders out on e-bikes, isn't it, Chris?
Cool, isn't it? Some big jumps there, some endo action. He looks like he's smashing it on the e-bike. It's so good to see someone so small pushing, you know, because those bikes aren't light, are they? You know, you know, it's good to see the younger rider actually doing all that stuff. So yeah,
you don't catch me that high in the air. Vicky, thanks so much for sending us those photographs in.
Nice. So coming up this week on EMBN, it's an amazing week of content as always. On Friday, we've got the most important things you should be considering when buying your first e-mountain bike. Well, we've got Sunday, Steve.
Well, yeah, talking about things to consider. I mean, there are so many things to consider, aren't there? You know, what type of riding you doing, what range do you need? I mean,
battery
what's your budget?
Sizes, motor, you name it. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and then coming out on Sunday, we've got a video on how to build a YT decoy out of the box. Now, as you know, YT is a direct sales brand, and those bikes, you order them online, and they come direct to your doorstep, and all you need to do is put it together. It sounds easy, so is it? Well, you can find out on Sunday on that video.
Looking forward to that one. Nice.
Let's move on then to comments and questions. Now, last week we featured the greatest innovations of e-mountain biking in its very short 10-year history. And we've seen loads of things, from smaller batteries, bigger batteries, smaller and lighter motors, and of course all the new displays and controls. Some great comments here. Now, the first one's from Onyx, who says, for me, it's the fact that they have hidden the batteries into the frame. It must also be aesthetically pleasing, which is now finally the case. I would not get one otherwise. He's now happy, or sorry, he or she is now happy shredder on a YT Decoy 29 Pro. That's cool to hear.
Yeah, I think it's an important point, isn't it? Getting those bikes looking nice. And I think when they first come to the market, a lot of people were like, they just pretty much plonked a battery and a motor on a standard mountain bike, but now we're seeing that integration going on. Definitely looks a lot better. And meanwhile, Electric Dreams, he says, exactly, Chris, the eMTB, one bike to rule them all. And as I mentioned in that video, it is literally, there is no other need for another bike apart from an e-bike in your life, I think.
Do you have Electric Dreams, Chris?
Do I have Electric Dreams? No, not at the moment.
Vince F16 says the greatest innovation of the eMTB is the E. Well said.
Definitely.
Yeah. Guys, keep on getting involved in the comments, leave them in all the videos, and it's great to get the discussion going, especially about things such as innovation.
Definitely.
It seems that we have a climb of the week this week.
No, Steve. Crash of the week, and this one is pretty insane. This one goes to Jamie. He's out and about on his Orbea Wild FS. He's out riding a nice line near Tübingen, Germany. I've done the step down jump several times, but got a little crossed up on the landing, cracked his helmet, but came out with no injuries. And I mean, this is a pretty big slam, isn't it? Look how far he goes down that bank. The looks have gotten out of it pretty good, to be fair.
Is this the start of Crash of the Week, Chris? Is this the start?
Could be.
Is it?
Love seeing all the content anyway, so just keep it coming in. Could be a crash, could be a climb.
Yeah.
Use that upload service and get on the show.
Okay, it's time to get out and about. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you might have seen Chris Smith on his local trails on the video we had up on the weekend. Did I actually see, Chris, a little mini slab action going on there on one of your rides?
You did, and I was really tempted to try and ride up it, but the run into it is like really loose at the minute, and it just packs your tyres full of dirt. So unfortunately, at the minute, you can't go up there on a push bike. So definitely down it, get a bit fun. You know, it's a good ride.
I reckon that's a challenge which we must undertake in the future, that's for sure.
It's got your name all over it, Steve.
Now, so what have you guys been up to this week? Well, Mark and Johan have been out for a really big ride on their Canyon Spectral on 6 and a Lapierre Overworld 3.5. This is around Llandegfydd Reservoir near Pontypool. That's an area not so far from me, and I know it really well.
Nice.
Make sure you get up around the tower as well at some point. Now, Mark says that during lockdown, I got my son Johan off his Xbox and into cycling. He's done so well. We've upgraded him to his own e-bike, the Lapierre Overworld 3.5. He's already attempted rocky climbs and descents, but loves the night rides. Now, Pontypool is another mecca for e-mountain bikes, and the trails around there, I mean, it's next level.
It's all going off down there, Steve, by the sound of it.
It is.
Nice.
But from Pontypool to California, as you do. Now, this looks like some amazing dusty trails here. This is Stuart in Bakersfield, hitting the trails with his wife almost every day in his 2020 Trek Rail 9.7.
Nice. Well, there's some nice size doubles being jumped here by Nick. He's riding a Merida E160 out in Victoria in Australia. He says, 40 years old and only 2 years riding, I've learnt to jump and he loves it. Pushed himself to try this 5 metre gap. Was super stoked to land several times. A fair play, that's a pretty big size double there. Nice.
Yeah, good on you, Nick. Good on you. Great effort.
Lastly, we've got Craig again jumping, testing out his mate's full suspension cube. He's up in Leicester and he's seeing if he prefers that full suspension to his hardtail high bike. Nice. Love seeing what you guys have been up to all over, you know, on your e-bikes.
Do you know what, Chris? I have to do a little bit of backpedaling because I did a hill climb last week on a Yamaha PWX on one of our high bike hardtails, and I got a really fast time in compared to a full suspension bike. So,
a bit of hardtail love coming there from Steve Jones. Be a fat bike next.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
Right, Steve, it's my favourite part of the show where we get to see everyone's bikes from all over the world. It is the bike vault time, and kicking it off, we have got Graham.
Let's not forget, we've got a podium this week. Bike of the week.
We have got a podium.
We haven't.
We've got a judge, Steve Jones, in there pulling the bike of the week out at the end of it as well. But first up, so this is Graham getting back into it after having his bike stolen. Look at the sky there, it looks amazing, doesn't it? Where he's riding a Specialized Turbo Lever comp up on the Penasuic estate and the Pentland Hills in the distance there. Look at that.
Yeah.
That is a nice shot. Nice.
Yeah. Right, nice colour here on Gio's Merida after a complete rebuild and respray. Out for a spin, out for a spin, out for a spin on the Calendar Estate Trails in Falkirk. That is nice.
Nice looking bike there. So this is James. He's been enjoying the climbing on his Cannondale Matera up at Bamford Edge, way up in the hills there. Look at that, super high. And that, I think, is our first super nice.
Yeah, well done, James. Now, a lush forest shot here. You have to go. You can look at this from Dadas from Croatia with his new high bike Fly On, out for a quick blast and loving it. Chris, that's super nice, right?
It's gotta be, hasn't it? Nice one.
Nice one, Dadas.
Nice. This is a full 360, well, pretty much a 360 panoramic shot coming here from Jordan. He's shredding the trails of Colorado on his Commensal Metapower, out for a morning ride, and he says the views over the lake were absolutely stunning, and I agree with that. A stunning shot, super nice.
Oh, look at this, look at this. Wow, I barely see the bike.
I can't see anything.
Blending into the leaf. This is David with his Trek Rail 5 2020, which is his first e-bike that EMBN convinced him to buy. Well,
nice, that's good work, isn't it?
You know, riding single track in Pennsylvania. Yeah, Chris, super nice. No,
Super nice for sure.
no question about it.
Well, this is Gary. He's been out riding in North Yorkshire on Claybank on his YT decoy. That looks like an epic trail disappearing off in the background, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Nice shot. Liking that.
Now, 54-year-old Nathan is feeling 17 years old again after riding an e-bike. Now, this is his 2018 Focus Jam with Trust Performance Massage Link Fork.
Whoa, crazy looking fork.
Massage Link Fork. Out with his girlfriend, enjoy the trails in Blue Diamond in Nevada, USA on a sunny, beautiful day. We have had our e-mountain bikes for about 18 months and ridden them over 1,200 miles. Tech looking bike there. Super nice.
Nice. I quite like those Trust forks. They're kind of a bit of a Marmite, aren't they? People love them, people hate them. But I think on an e-bike, they do look pretty tech. Meanwhile, we've got John. He's been going out on giant jaunts on his Giant. So this is a Giant Fathom E Plus Pro. Hardtail, he's out in Southern Down and Vale of Glamorgan. Right in there, a huge quarry. Look at that. I'd love to get a bit of free ride action on going there.
Nice. I don't know how you pulled that off. Giant Johnson's Giant Fathom. That's great. Love it. Now, nice looking Lapierre here with a split down tube. Looks good. This is Dominic's Lapierre Overvolt, AM 600 carbon up in Dublin Mountains. Going to have some adventure riding on his first ride out. That is nice. But Chris, it's over to you for the bike of the week. I've got a couple of ideas on it, but
yeah, I don't know, it's pretty good this week, a load of strong entries, but I'm loving that panoramic shot from Jordan. I think that takes it. Don't see too many of those on the Bike Vault, do we? I'd love to see a bit more, you know, the bike and the surrounding going on. So I think that one's going to take it for this week. Nice one, but keep them coming to the Bike Vault. Use the upload service, and it might be you taking the bike of the week on next week's Bike Vault.
Yes, and that's it for this week's EMBN show. Let us know your comments on controls and displays. Do they matter? Do you need them? Do you use them? Get involved in the discussion on that subject, and we will see you, me and Chris from the Somerset subterranean sweat box. But who knows where we'll be next week, but we'll see you on the show.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Cheers, guys.